10 years of being in love. My boyfriend held a grand wedding for my best friend, who is battling cancer. All behind my back. Just because my best friend has cancer. Her dying wish is to marry him. Ethan blocked all messages, forbidding anyone from letting this matter reach my ears. He didn't know that my best friend was live streaming the grandeur of the wedding the whole time. That night, I cried until I fainted. Ethan spent the night on the island with his best friend. On the day my heart condition relapsed, he abandoned me to take my best friend to the hospital, nearly costing me my life. I accepted the proposal from the millionaire big shot. Lucas, Lana, are you really willing to marry me? After agreeing to get married, Lucas would send me a message every few minutes to confirm. After receiving my affirmative response, he sent me over a dozen styles of diamond rings for me to choose from. These are all rings I bought at the auction. Take a look and see if there's any you like. Seeing that I hadn't replied, a few seconds later, he sent another message. If you haven't found anything you like, there's a jewelry auction in England in a few days. I'll take you to pick something out. Then, after looking closely, I sent him a voice message. That graph pink diamond looks pretty good. Let's choose it as the wedding ring. Ethan didn't know when to come back, but just as I was behind him, I heard the words wedding ring and suddenly spoke up. Wedding ring? What wedding ring? He looked at me, and on his usually cold and composed face, a rare hint of panic appeared. I met his gaze lightly, just as I was about to come up with an excuse to brush it off. But at that moment, my phone rang. I picked it up and saw that it was a call from my best friend, Sophie. After answering the call, her sobbing came through the phone. Lana, is Ethan by your side? I just had another nosebleed. I'm so scared. Before I could say anything, the phone was snatched away by Ethan. He spoke, Sophie, don't be afraid. I'm on my way right now. Then Ethan left me behind and ran out. I completely forgot that. He asked me to go night cruising on the Pearl River tonight, saying he wanted to make up for the missing 10th anniversary of our love. It turns out that giving up on someone feels like this. Even watching him run towards another woman, my heart can no longer stir with any waves. The phone rang again. This time it was Lucas calling. Lana, are you ready? I'm coming to Highshire to pick you up tomorrow. I gazed into the distance, my eyes deep and contemplative. In a week, once I take care of everything that needs to be done, I will return to the capital to get married. On the other end of the phone, Lucas spoke gently. Okay, I'll wait for you. If you encounter anything you can't solve, remember to tell me. After hanging up the phone, I called Ethan's grandfather to say goodbye. Ethan's grandfather and my grandfather were comrades in arms, with a deep bond between them. When I was 8 years old, I was diagnosed with a serious heart condition. Ethan's family-run private hospital happens to specialize in cardiology, making it quite authoritative. So my grandfather decided to send me to Ethan's house to recover. Over the years, Ethan's parents have treated me as their own, and Ethan's grandfather has taken care of me in every possible way. I am about to return to Beijing, and out of both sentiment and reason, I should bid them farewell. Ethan didn't come home again. That night, Sophie sent me a look at you with your mouth full. So cute. In the photo, Ethan is bending down to eat cake, while Sophie extends a finger to smear cream on his face. But soon she retracted the news. I'm sorry, Lana, I just sent that to the wrong person. Ethan said that photo is really cute and asked me to send it to him. You're not mad, are you? I didn't reply to her. Instead, I silently returned to my room and began packing my bags. The next day at noon, Ethan finally returned home. He prepared a gift for me as an apology. Lana, Sophie was in a serious condition last night. I just took her to the hospital. I didn't say a word. When I opened the brocade box, I found a Rolex women's watch. Inside, The strap was adorned with a circle of diamonds. Extraordinarily luxurious. But I remember he also gave Sophie a similar gift. It's just that mine is a bit more expensive. Ethan noticed my lack of reaction and asked, with some concern, "Lana, are you angry?" I said softly, "No. Sophie is sick. It's only natural for you to go see her." Ethan looked at me suspiciously, perhaps thinking my reaction was strange. But in the end, he just sighed. "I'm glad you're not angry. After all, we still have a long way to go together." But Sophie, at this point, Ethan's eyes turned slightly red. I couldn't be bothered to listen to him in that case. Spend more time with her. After dropping this line, I turned to leave. But Ethan grabbed my wrist. The moment I raised my gaze, there was no emotion in my eyes. "What's wrong?" Ethan felt somewhat irritable. Yet, he couldn't pinpoint the source of his agitation. But soon his phone rang again. He looked down a few times, then raised his head and said to me, "Lana, I have to go on a business trip for the next few days, and won't be back for a while. You need to be careful at home." I casually hummed in response, thinking it would be better if he didn't come back, so that tomorrow I could return to Ethan's house to say goodbye to everyone. The next morning, I took the prepared gifts and went to Ethan's house. Ethan's mother turned red-eyed upon hearing that I was returning to Beijing. "Lana, what happened? You were doing so well in Heisher. Why are you suddenly going back?" Ethan's father immediately slammed the table. "Where's Ethan? Why didn't he come back with you? Did he bully you?" I hesitated for a moment, but in the end, I still didn't tell the truth. "No. It's just that I've been away from home for too long these years, and I want to go back and take a look." Ethan's mother looked at me, her expression filled with concern as she spoke. "Does Ethan know about your decision to go back? To avoid further trouble?" I nodded gently. "Yes, he knows." Hearing me say this, no one dared to persuade me further. After some casual conversation, I stood up, preparing to leave. Just at that moment, the door suddenly swung open, and I came face to face with Ethan's face. Standing next to him, Sophie smiled at me and gently said, "Lana, what are you doing here?" She asked with righteous indignation, as if she had already become a daughter-in-law of the Chi family. "I don't seem to need to explain where I am to you." After dropping this line, I walked past Ethan and headed for the door. Ethan, coming back to his senses, immediately chased after me to explain. "Lana, don't misunderstand. I brought Sophie home today, so my parents could help her find a suitable doctor. Besides, she's your close friend, too. You wouldn't hold it against me, right?" I had a moment of distraction. What echoed in my mind was Ethan's promise to me, under the cherry blossom tree, when he was 18. He said that marrying me was his lifelong wish. One day, he would take me back to meet his parents as his future daughter-in-law. But now, he brought another woman home and even lied to me, saying he was going on a business trip. Looking at Ethan's expectant eyes, I slowly spoke. "How could that be? I've never been a stingy person. I simply won't care about those who aren't worth it." Hearing me say this, Ethan was taken aback for a moment. "Lana, do you really not care at all?" I think he's really too hard to please. In the past, when Ethan was close to Sophie, I got angry and he said I was petty. Now that I don't inquire about anything between them, he's still not satisfied. But I don't want to explain. And there's nothing to explain. Later, Ethan pecked my forehead and said, "Be good and wait for me at home." After entering the elevator, I reached up to wipe my forehead clean. He made me feel nauseous. On our 10th anniversary, Ethan also used a business trip as an excuse to brush me off. However, that night, I received a video call request from Sophie. After the call connected, I listened to the lively atmosphere of the wedding scene. And only then did I realize that the wedding belonged to Ethan and Sophie. 3 months ago, Sophie was diagnosed with a terminal illness. She posted on, "I hope to have a wedding with the person I love most before I die." At that time, I had not yet noticed the awkwardness between the two of them. And I even asked her in the comments who her favorite person was. At that time, Sophie replied to me, "You'll know when the time comes." The moment I learned the truth, my heart felt like it was being cut apart. The pain so intense that I could hardly breathe. I called Ethan like a madman, wanting to ask him why he treated me this way. But that night, Ethan didn't answer a single call. I cried myself into a faint at home while he was spending the wedding night with Sophie. Fortunately, everything is about to come to an end. After returning home, I received a call from Lana. "I'm really sorry. I had no idea I would run into you today." I scoffed and didn't reply to her. Sophie took a deep breath and said to me with an envious tone, "Ethan's mother is really such a nice person. She is so gentle, asking me how I am and checking on me." They also said they would do their best to help me find a suitable doctor for my treatment. When she said this, she paused for a moment. Then she lowered her voice and asked, "Lana, tell me, why can't the person who marries into the Ethan family be me?" Of course it could be her, as long as she has the ability. Then I wish you both 100 years of harmony in advance. Then I hung up the phone, wanting to block her directly. That way, she wouldn't pop up in front of me from time to time to show off her presence. At that moment, I accidentally clicked into Sophie's Instagram and discovered that she had actually stolen my design drafts to enter a competition. I was so angry that my hands trembled a little because that drawing was a birthday gift I had given to Ethan. I didn't expect that he would hide it from me and send the draft to Sophie. I stroked my racing heart, trying my best to calm myself down, and then took out my copyright registration certificate to report Sophie's work as plagiarized on the competition website. After all this, my friend Chloe, who co-runs the studio with me, also called. "Lana, what happened? Why this sudden withdrawal of funds?" Chloe is a mutual friend of Sophie and me, but she had always had a poor relationship with Sophie before. So I told her everything over the phone, including, of course, that I was about to get married. Chloe was furious after hearing this. This Sophie is just too shameless, relying on her illness to casually steal other people's men. Who knows if she's just pretending? It's driving me crazy. I have to call her and give her a piece of my mind. Hearing Chloe's loyal words, I was quite moved. Forget it. I can't be bothered. The wedding is about to take place. At that moment, footsteps sounded behind me. Ethan's voice suddenly broke in. "Wedding? What wedding?" I hung up the phone. When I turned to look at Ethan, I noticed he seemed a bit nervous. Suddenly, I had a different thought. I just heard a gossip. There's a guy who, behind his girlfriend's back, held a wedding with another woman. A friend just said that man is despicable, and it's pitiful for his girlfriend, who still thinks she's his one true love. Who would have thought that? As soon as these words were spoken, Ethan shouted out in great excitement, "What is this all about? How do they know whether that man has his own reasons? What if that wedding is fake, just to fulfill the dying wish of a terminally ill patient?" Hearing his grandiose words, I suddenly found it somewhat laughable. 10 years of feelings all wasted on feeding the dogs. Perhaps, sensing that something was off with my emotions, Ethan stepped forward and hugged me. "Lana, what's been going on with you lately?" He held me tightly in his arms. "We've been through so many years together. Don't you know how much I love you? Once we settle Sophie's matters, let's get married, okay?" As he spoke, his hand slowly slipped inside my shirt. But I turned my head away, pressing down on his restless hand. "Sorry, I don't have any feelings." Ethan's deep-set eyes gazed at me for a long time. Yet he couldn't discern anything from me. In the end, he reluctantly let go of me and dropped "I'm going to sleep in the study." That night, I had just fallen asleep when I heard Ethan hurriedly leaving the house. I turned over and continued to sleep, But the next morning, as soon as I opened the door, I saw Ethan sitting in the living room. I raised my eyebrows slightly. So early, Ethan didn't give me a good look. Instead, he confronted me head-on. Why do you have to report Sophie for plagiarism? Do you have any idea how much of an impact this will have on her? I smiled, my expression frozen on my face. May I ask, was that design draft done by Sophie herself? Did she not plagiarize? Ethan was shocked to hear this. Lana, how did you become like this? Where did the kind you go? You have everything, countless awards for your work. What difference would it make to let her have a chance? Sophie is now so angry that her condition has worsened. Lying in the hospital on the brink of death. She just wanted to experience the feeling of winning an award before her life ends. Is that too much to ask? I was so angry that my fingers felt a bit numb. I immediately retorted, of course not. Ethan, you know how much I've sacrificed over the years to achieve my dreams, to practice my painting. My hands were covered in frostbite during the harsh winter, itching and hurting. How can you casually say that? I should give my work to Sophie. If she wants to experience the feeling of winning an award, she should work a little harder for it. What does it mean to take what I've earned? A man can be without. But if anyone dares to touch my design work, I will never let her go. Ethan did not notice the changes in my body. He dropped "You've changed," and then walked outside. And I, infuriated, had a heart attack, suddenly collapsing to the ground, pleading in agony. Ethan, save me. But he never looked back even once. After waking up, I found myself lying in the hospital. Lucas held me tightly in his arms. Lana, we're going back to Beijing. This time, I slowly closed my eyes and said, okay. It turns out that a person can truly burn all their hopes to ashes in a single moment. Ethan only discovered my sudden departure on the third day. He called me frantically and I found it annoying. So I just blocked him. Why do you care so much about Sophie, yet still keep me hanging? I curled up in the Italian handcrafted sofa, watching Lucas have a high-end, custom wedding dress delivered, feeling dazzled. He gently wrapped his arm around my shoulder and asked softly, which style do you like? I carefully selected and finally settled on a strapless mermaid tulle dress. This one will do. I think it looks quite nice. Lucas affectionately ruffled my hair and said, all right, then let's go with this one. After choosing the wedding dress, he went to discuss the specific details of the wedding day with the wedding planning company. In the past few days, Chloe told me that Ethan went completely mad after he found out I was missing. He inquired everywhere about my whereabouts, but learned of my return to the capital from his own parents. Lana, what do you think his reaction would be if he found out about your marriage? I didn't have time to think much. When I heard someone ringing the doorbell outside, I thought it was just the wedding staff Lucas had sent over again. I stepped forward to open the door, only to be met by Ethan's crimson eyes. The moment he saw me, his eyes were filled with disbelief. Lana, you're really here. Ethan spoke with a slight choke in his voice. Why did you leave without saying a word? You must have done it on purpose to upset me, right? Come back with me and we'll get married right away. Seeing Ethan pulling me, Lucas rushed over. Ethan, please stay away from my wife. Ethan stumbled slightly, his voice trembling. What did you just say? Lucas stood tall in front of me, blocking Ethan's burning gaze. Ethan, however, did not believe it. Lana, stop joking. After 10 years of our relationship, how could you just say it's over? Were all the promises we made over the years just lies? I really don't want to get entangled with him any longer, so I immediately threw out my marriage certificate with Lucas for him to see. Ethan, I'm not lying to you. I really got married. He was somewhat taken aback, his shoulders drooping in deep hurt. Why? Why? Seeing Ethan about to rush forward, Lucas stepped up directly to block him. Immediately. With a cold face. How can you still ask, Lana, why? Don't you have any idea what you've been doing these days? Saying this, Lucas pulled out a pile of photos from somewhere and threw them on the ground. You keep saying you love Lana, yet you secretly marry another woman. Is this what you call love? In the photo, Sophie smiles with pure happiness, while Ethan looks like a knight, protecting his princess. Such a warm and harmonious scene pierced my eyes. Ethan explained in a panic. Lana, it's not what you think. Sophie and I are in a fake marriage, just like playing house. I'm just fulfilling a wish of hers. Before she passes, a tear slipped from the corner of my eye. Lucas quickly reached out and gently wiped it away from me. I stepped forward and looked at Ethan calmly. The wedding with her is fake. So, what about all your affection for her? Is that also fake? Ethan wearily closed his eyes. Sophie is also your good friend. I was just putting on a show for her. I thought you wouldn't mind. I find it utterly sarcastic. Ethan, do you really believe what you just said? That day you rushed out without hesitation. Did you ever think that I might get so angry I could have a heart attack and almost die at home? Ethan's body trembled, and he suddenly looked up. Lana, what did you say? I'm tired and don't want to say much to him. Ethan, we're done. Ethan's face was terrifyingly dark. His gaze fell on me, shifting from guilt to resentment. In just 3 seconds. Immediately, he let out a cold laugh and spoke slowly. It doesn't matter. Even if you are married. It doesn't matter. Even if I have to tie you up. I will take you to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get a divorce from him. After saying that, he pulled out a blank check from his pocket and tossed it onto Lucas. Pretty boy. Have you heard of the Chief family in Heeshire? Fill in the amount on the check yourself and divorce my wife. Otherwise,